All right. Hello, good evening, or good afternoon, or good morning, wherever you might be right now, and welcome to our Voices Rising concert. This is Cathy Baker.
And this is Dick Jackson. Together we lead the Gettin Higher Choir, and we are thrilled to bring you the musical offerings that we've been working on with our dedicated singers since February. And of course, we're very excited about bringing Bruce Cockburn into this fundraising collaboration. Before we really get the evening rolling, Dick will give a Zoom orientation for anyone who might not be familiar with some of its features.
Looking at the screen, I see we have at least 387 people here on Zoom, and there may not be our audience on YouTube right now due to a technical issue. To help our Zoom audience get most of the concert, here's a few details. If you're on a mobile device, the way to see more people who are in the room, swipe left as many times as you like, and then swipe right to get back to seeing the current speaker. If you don't see control buttons at the bottom of your screen, tap your screen to bring up the controls. For everyone else on Mac or Windows, there is, starting at the top, there's the gallery and speaker view control on computer and on mobile. At the bottom, we have the chat button where you can bring up the chat that people are sending text messages around, excuse me. And you can see a list of participants as well. Let's see. When we're presenting a video, you might see a strip of images on the right side. And if you want to see fewer of those, or you can move the bar that separates that from the shared video that we're showing. You can also try out the buttons that are atop the strip of images there. You can, let's see, unmute will be allowed a few times during the show so that you could show your appreciation if you wish after a song, or why don't we try this right now? Let's see. I'm going to put my gallery view on so I can see this. The first thing you can do to show your enthusiasm for something that's happened is to wave. Why don't we give that a practice? Hello, everyone. Great to see you all here. And now, if we open the mic, we allow you to unmute, like now, you can give us some applause. There you go.
This is weird.
Mute all button.
Great.
Okay, thank you. That's great. Great to have you all here. If there's any time you don't want your video showing to the world, you can hit the stop video button and then turn it back on again. If you like, you can change the name that appears in your little video box by clicking the 3 dots button and choosing rename. That's at the top right of your little box in the screen. Our singers, we've asked them to put GHC in front of their name to identify themselves. You may see them in the crowd. Okay, if you're outside of Victoria region, welcome to add your name to show where in the world you're located. Okay.
And we know we have people from all over the place, and it's wonderful that you've gathered here tonight to support this concert. And we'd just like to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional territories of the many Indigenous peoples whose land we have the honor on which to live and play and work and sing, and from which tonight's collaborative concert is being shared. Dick and I are on the traditional territory of the Lekwungen peoples, also known as the Esquimalt and Songhees nations. Of course, there are many other nations represented here, and if you do know the name, you are welcome to type that into the chat. And if you do not, I really highly encourage you to look that up, please, to get to know whose land you are enjoying. We make this acknowledgement with humility and with gratitude, and as one small step on the pathway to undoing the damage of colonialism and of doing the work towards living in right relations with all people who have lived and still live on these lands. Haichka, Miigwech, Thank you.
It takes a lot to put virtual choir videos together. We have relied on the magic of Nick La Riviere's work in helping to create these. Congratulations to all of our singers. And now we have singers from across North America in our choir with the online possibilities that we have. And for the first time in Gettin Higher choir history, we will have in one of our songs singers collaborating from the Caia district of Mozambique. And we are thrilled to welcome to the virtual stage Bruce Cockburn. It's an international show. We have tech support from our friends Amanda and Graham, Lowell Ann. Thank you very much. And we know there's a worldwide audience with friends from Japan. And I'm not sure if Gabriel has shown up yet from Mozambique, but he said he might make it. It's very late there. Okay. The show will have a number of virtual choir videos that we've made, some spots of speaking from the Caia Connection. The set in the second half, Bruce Cockburn's set, will be provided here. We have one song we're going to be doing live while we show a montage of videos from Mozambique, and much more. One thing I'd like to mention, we had a very nice article in the Times Colonist newspaper here in Victoria that mentioned our friend who is in Delhi, India. She is not, in fact, part of this show, so we wanted to mention her name, Shruti Vishwanath, and she does lead a session 6 times a week, which comes up in the evening in our time. She does it in the morning. It's called Music in the Machan, and Dennis is taking care of putting things into the chat, and he'll have a link there if you are interested to sign up for her singing of, for the most part, Indian folk songs from various parts of India and Bangladesh. Dennis has also put in there a link if you're interested to see the full concert program, to see details of the songs, the credits, what we would normally have in a printed program. And there are links to all of the people and organizations that we're talking about here. Thank you, Dennis. We will have a 10-minute break in the middle of the show where we will make breakout rooms, where we'll randomly send people in there. It's a great way to meet some new folks and then come back after for the second half. You are able to use the chat, as many of you have noticed there. And you could send messages directly to one another or to everyone.
Wonderful. Okay. The theme of tonight's concert is Voices Rising. And we chose this theme to acknowledge all the ways that we've lifted each other up and supported each other through this last year, and all the ways that we have chosen to speak up and use our voices to create a better world, and how we gather together to raise our voices in song.
We've become friends with Gabriel Miandica over the last months. He's been involved in managing projects that are funded by the Caia Connection on the ground in Mozambique. He has also worked together with us in preparing the musical offerings from the Kuwangisana JAC Choir, and we'll hear from them soon.
Greetings from Mozambique. It's a pleasure to be part of this great family. And wow, for the first time, we're having a local musician and local singers being part of this great concert. This is great. This is an honor. This is a great, great, great joy for each and every one of us here in Mozambique. We want to continue thanking you all for all your support that has really created a great impact and changes in many lives. We are looking forward for a healing, joyful, inspiring, and energizing concert. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gabriel. And what a better way to introduce our concert opening song than to hear directly from the songwriter himself. And while this is a pre-recorded message, we're quite certain that the songwriter is in the virtual house somewhere. So everybody wave. Hi, Chris. And here he is, Chris Fry, to introduce the Gettin Higher Choir.
Hey everybody, it's Chris Fry here. I'm a songwriter and member of a great group called The Bills. Been around for almost 25 years. And I've released a bunch of music of my own. I write and play all different kinds of songs. But about 17 years ago, I wrote a song that's a sea shanty called Bamfield's John Vanden. And I'm proud of this piece of music. It's been actually covered by a number of groups and choirs all over the place. And really excited that the Gettin Higher Choir has worked up an amazing version of this a cappella piece of The Bills. So, briefly about the tune, like we were touring a lot, the Bills, in the early 2000s, and hearing folk music and learning folk music from all around the world that was really rooted in, cultures and ecosystems and places where the music was from. And I felt there was a lack of, West Coast Canadian folk music, really that was grounded here. So I took to writing this tune, and it came really quickly. I talked to Johnny about his past and about fishing, talked to my parents about, Bamfield and the way it had been. The lyrics came quickly, and we recorded it in early 2004, I believe. And I realized I couldn't put it on the record until Johnny heard it. So at that time, Johnny was approaching 90 years old. And I had him over to the house here on Dunsmuir Road in Esquimalt, and he said he had dinner. He always liked one glass of wine with dinner, maybe two if he was really in the spirit. And I said, Johnny, I got something for you I'd like you to hear, and I'd like your approval. It's a song we've written, and we put it on. He sat kind of quietly. Now, Johnny was a loner in many ways, a single man, not really like a guy who would get up and dance or a music fan at all. He was a wonderful guy. So he sat and listened to it. Song finished. And he looked up, he said, well, how long did it take you to make that up? And I said, well, we worked up quickly, Johnny, and what do you think? And he said, oh, sure, yeah. So he approved, Johnny Vanden approved, and you know what? I know he would wildly approve of the version that the Gettin Higher Choir has created. So very excited to be involved in Voices Rising, proud. Thank you, Gettin Higher Choir. I hope everybody enjoys the entire program this evening. I know all the pieces are going to be amazing. So peace to you all, and thank you for picking up on this piece of music that I think does a pretty good job of representing some nice elements and dangerous, wild elements of our West Coast. Have a great show, everybody, and a great summer. Thank you.
I come from the mud and the wind and the wet, from as far to the west as a man can get. And I worked those waters for all my years, and I got my share of triumph and tears. On the ocean's the source of my hopes and fears. Kept an eye on the jigger pole, hand on the gaff, and a smiley on the line always brought a laugh. She's the pride of the coast, biggest of the springs. We would carry her home past Edward King, unloading at the packers and the money would ring. I'm Bamfield's John Vanden. And you might slip and stumble on the rocks at the shore, and exult in the blast of the mighty wake's roar. But when you stand humbled by the ocean's door, then you'll understand just who I am, Bamfield's Johnny Vanden. Fair weather is a mask that the devil dons, a disguise for the tempest that's coming on. But looking toward the west, I can always tell by the tint of the sky and the strength of the swell, who's winning today, is it heaven or hell? And when unseen arms through thundering gales, we risked our souls on the telegraph trail. When the listing wrecks needed us the most, we slipped past death on the graveyard coast. But the ocean remembers, so we never did boast. I'm Bamfield's John Vanden. And you might slip and stumble on the rocks at the shore, and exult in the blast of the mighty wake's roar. But when you stand humbled by the ocean's door, then you'll understand just who I am, Bamfield's Johnny Vanden. I rolled and trolled and my hands were worn in God's vindictive southeast storms. Heard the howl of the ship as it ripped and groaned, but there is one thrill I have never known. 'Tis the love of a woman I can call my own. So your questions of romance don't ask me. I'm the man who wed the Pacific Sea. Tempestuous though she may have been, I'm more faithful to you've never seen. She's kept me wise and fit and lean. I'm Bamfield's John Vanden. rocks at the shore and exult in the blast of the mighty waves' roar. But when you stand humbled by the ocean's door, then you'll understand just who I am. Banfield's Johnny Van Den, Banfield's John Van Den.
And now we'll invite Sarah Petrescu to open her mic and give us a word from the Caia Connection.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Petrescu from the board of the Caia Connection, and I'm very happy to be here again this evening from beautiful Victoria. Feels like last year's concert was not that long ago, and I so looked forward to doing it again. Can we get a virtual hand wave or jazz hands for the Gettin Higher Choir's opening number and for Chris Fry? Great, good to see the energy out there. So I'm here to tell you a little bit about the Caia Connection and to say thank you for your support tonight and year after year. The Gettin Higher Choir community is truly amazing and vast, always in numbers, and now it's great to see people just around the world joining in. And also say thank you to Bruce Cockburn and to our special guests from Mozambique who will be performing tonight. So nothing like great music to lift our spirits and celebrate, especially as we look forward to being together again and singing together. I'm sure everyone is eager to have that experience. As many of you know, the beginnings of the Caia Connection go back more than 20 years. It started when a young couple who came to Victoria as refugees from Mozambique wanted to build a school for village children back home at the request of the local chief because there wasn't a school. Perpetua, hi Perpetua, I know you're watching, and Joseph Alfazema joined together with Siobhan Robinsong, founder of the Gettin Higher Choir, to hold a sold-out choral show and raised $11,000 that first year, enough to build the first school in Capaceni. And in the decades since, the choir has held an annual fundraiser to support the community in Mozambique, to build more schools, a health center, a sewing center, set up a distance learning program, a music program, pay for post-secondary scholarships, and to respond to crises, and so much more. And education for girls has always been a priority. In 2009, I visited the Alfazemas in the Caia district and saw firsthand the incredible programs for families impacted by HIV/AIDS and civil war. How people came together during natural disasters like floods to help each other and to get things done, and the joys of music and community. I also saw a bond between communities and people on opposite sides of the globe, those in Victoria and in rural Mozambique, who are very aware of each other and their connection. And that bond was especially felt this past year as people across the world grappled with the impacts of COVID-19 pandemic. In Mozambique, the Caia Connection and Kawangi-Sana staff worked hard to deliver food rations to families and personal protective equipment. We are so happy that school and university are now back in session, and we'd like to thank the stellar team in Mozambique, some who were scholarship students and are now giving back as staff. And also to congratulate scholarship students who are studying nursing, environmental education, and agriculture, some new programs. And as we look ahead to this next year, post-COVID, we have much to do in the Caia district and Capaceni to get our programs operating at their best. We have exciting plans to work with the Barefoot College organization to buy solar panels for electricity. This would be especially useful for the health center, where a nurse has had to deliver babies by the light of the night sky. The Siobhan Robinsong and Dennis Donnelly Distance Learning Center is in need of some computers and books and school supplies to really get the students working at their best and motivated. And funds are needed for crucial food programs and for the hugely popular traditional music program. I'm sure many of you have seen the Valimba videos. And school children are in need of new uniforms, which will be made at the Gloria Hanson Sewing Center, also helped through these concerts each year. Clean drinking water is always an issue, and we need funds this year for a desalinization project. So these are just a few of the projects the community says are important to get underway now. But we also continue to support many others. And of course, to be there for our friends in emergencies, through floods, through droughts, through cyclones, and pandemics. Last year, this fundraising concert raised more than $20,000 for the Caia Connection, which helped so much, especially through the pandemic. And this year, we'd like to raise another $20,000 to help us in the recovery and to get much needed community programs back on track. So please, if you haven't already, visit the Canada Helps link. It's in there, in the chat there. Or if you'd like to get in touch, you could also mail a check or email money, or get in touch if you're interested in donating stocks, which several of our supporters have. So yes, help us hit or blast past our goal of 20,000. I'm happy to report already tonight, just one song in, we've raised almost $8,000. So we'll keep updating you throughout the show and post the final tally. And I'll just say a quick thanks to Dick and Cathy and everyone who is working hard to put on this fantastic show. To my fellow board members, Carol, Ian, Joe, and Blaze, to Job, Gabriel, and the team in Mozambique. I hope you made it up and you're here. And to all our amazing supporters. And of course, to Perpetua and Siobhan, our founders, our mentors, and our inspiration. Have a fantastic feel-good evening, everyone.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I see Perpetua sent you a nice note. You rock, Sarah. Thanks. A quick explanation why you might see in the Zoom room here, why we disappear when a video is shared. We do that because on YouTube, we would end up showing up in the corner, and we don't need that when the video is showing. Okay. This next song is a fine example of the kind of short but beautiful song that we often sing in our choir practice. And we use that term practice intentionally. For many of us, coming together to sing and create harmony in community is a vital part of our lives, as vital as, say, a yoga practice or meditation practice or prayer practice. We created this recording early in the season, and we gave it in gratitude to our provincial health officer and those who have been guiding us through uncharted waters. We sent it as a gift to Dr. Bonnie Henry and her team, and it is now our pleasure to share it with you. Thank you, everyone. It's very gratifying to see so many of you singing out there. Even though we've got our camera down, we can see you enjoying the song at home.
Yeah. And choir,
Hmm.
you've done such a gorgeous job already. That's, wow, beautiful to see. This next gorgeous song we're about to share is more than a celebration of our life-giving home planet and the season of spring. It's a hymn to the strength of the human spirit. Carolyn McDade would not describe herself this way, but she is a legend in her prolific songwriting and in the many ways she has of bringing people together to express deep meaning and joy and life affirmation through song. Recorded at her daughter's home on Cape Cod, here is Carolyn McDade introducing our arrangement and performance of Rising Green.
My friends, I am honored to be here with you today, and I appreciate the invitation that you have sent to me through your organizers, Dick Jackson and Cathy Baker. We are here at a special time in the life of our planet. Every year we come to a time when you look around and everything is turning green. And it is that promise of green that we value and we honor at this point. I have, in my life, as you have in yours, spent much of my energy bringing ordinary singers together and making a statement to the world about what we cared for. So now, let us sing.
Rising green,
Thank you again for your hand waving that we see. And thank you to the choir members who we see singing along with every word there. That's lovely. Couple of little things. One, I notice that another thing that you can do is click on the reactions button. You see some people have sent hearts in their screen. There's also one for applause, but watch out. The one that says raise hand is for something different, where in a meeting, if you're wanting to get someone's attention, but that's what you use for that. But there are other emojis you can use if you like. Thanks for the hearts. Okay. We had a lovely and wide-ranging hour-and-a-half conversation with Bruce Cockburn, from our living room to his, and we'll be sharing pieces of that recorded conversation throughout the evening. And wow, was it hard to choose what to edit out. We talked about music, the love of outdoors, his travels in Mozambique. This here is the longest segment, about 11 minutes. His response to our first question is about his time in Mozambique and how he saw musical expressions there and how we can all engage in creative expression. Welcome, Bruce Cockburn.
Welcome, Bruce Cockburn, to our living room and to the Gettin Higher Choir concert stage.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing your voice to our fundraising efforts for Mozambique.
It's well, it was nice to be asked, and I'm glad I could do it. So.
In our choir community, we claim singing as a birthright, and we believe that all voices can sing. And we know that in Western society, often a lot of people have lost that connection. And in your travels, how have you seen people using their musical voices as a natural part of their lives?
During the war, people were not having a good time. I mean, well, actually, when I was there after the war, it was similar, but for different reasons. But life was extremely difficult for people, and there wasn't a lot of singing going on. Although I met other musicians, and at one point we got treated to a performance by the choir of the urban transit drivers in Maputo, and who were actually really good. I mean, it was kind of South African style, back and forth kind of singing, and with a little bit of rubber boot shuffling involved and stuff. And people, obviously use music when they can to. The same way we use it to distract themselves from the realities of their day-to-day moments, and obviously you put a bunch of people together playing music and there's a certain communal feeling develops or is enhanced. It might already be there, but it's enhanced by that experience. And that's kind of empowering for people, even if they go away and it's back to the same old, for the time that they're able to do this, it's much bigger than a distraction. It's something positive that's built among people when they're performing together. It happens with professional musicians too, when learning songs, performing on stage together, and all that. It's you bond, and I think people do that in an informal way. We've let. It goes way back before the internet, but we've tended to kind of left everything in the hands of so-called experts, right? We don't. I mean, in the case of medicine, we want experts. We want to leave it to the doctors. Then and healing ourselves is maybe chancy at best, but with the arts, there's no reason why everybody can't be doing something creative. But I got invited by a consortium of Canadian NGOs that were doing work in Mozambique. They were operating under the umbrella of the acronym COCAMO, Cooperação Canada Mozambique, and they. At that time, the work involved feeding the many thousands of displaced people, people displaced because of the Civil War. So the people project was based in the north, around Nampula, and my involvement, as it has been in other cases like this, is that of a witness. I mean, I'm somebody. The assumption is I'll be able to get the attention of some members of the media and be able to put some information in front of people that somebody with less visibility might not be able to do. That isn't always true. I mean, sometimes the media gets sick of it. It's like, oh yeah, Cockburn, we've heard from him before. We don't want to hear him again. But when it works well. And so that was the point of me being there. Come and see what we're doing and then come back and talk about it. And we did a speaking tour across Canada about that. And that was actually quite successful, but that was an introduction to Africa for me, really. At that point, I don't think I'd been in Africa before. And very eye-opening in certain ways. People were great. All the people that I dealt with on that trip were, some of them were expats, but some of them were Portuguese Mozambicans who had stayed, like the 4 or 5 of them that stayed after independence. Turned out to be pretty interesting folks. And as I said, I met a number of musicians and so on. And it was a good and interesting trip, but I couldn't see much of the countryside because you couldn't travel from city to city except by air. That was in '88, I believe. In '95, I got asked to go back, and by some of the same NGOs, the work has shifted from feeding displaced people to trying to get to support the campaign to ban landmines and to get the landmines out of the ground in Mozambique. As with a lot of other countries, there was a major problem that way. And people flee their land because there's a war going on, and when they go back and start farming their fields, they can't do it because the land is polluted with these explosive devices. And that's complicated. And when you see the stuff about landmines in World War II movies, for instance, right, there's this nice little sign as Oxminen or, whatever, and the brave soldier kind of pokes his way through the minefield and either makes it or doesn't. But it isn't like that. I mean, in Mozambique, and I think it's much more typical of the way mines show up in modern life now. It's not organized in minefields. They just put the mines where they feel like putting them, and nobody remembers where they put them, and they move because there's a flood or there's some other event that will shift soil around, and so that even if you think you know where you put them, you don't. And so clearing them is a very hazardous and time-consuming task. So, and I got to watch, mine clearers at work. So the context with Mozambique, the implications were global in both cases, because there are a lot of places where that kind of war has affected people in that kind of way, and way too much of the world that suffers from the presence of landmines, even now. I mean, the work of that campaign was successful to a degree. I mean, kind of shockingly successful in terms of getting most of the countries in the world to sign the anti-landmine treaty. But there were big holdouts, the United States, among others, and Russia, of course, the usual suspects. But so there's still plenty of mines around, and they get used they're used in places like Iraq and Afghanistan, and it's a cheap way for a low budget army to make themselves heard. So that's a bit of an aside, because Mozambique really is much more than a place where there are landmines, and it's a beautiful country physically. The parts I saw when I did get to travel on the second trip, we drove from, I forget where, to Nampula, and it was an all-day drive over some really hairy roads, but hairy because they'd been cut and hastily repaired. Because one of the strategies of Renamo back in the Civil War was to dig large trenches across the road so vehicular traffic couldn't move. And so we were dealing with that. We were in a kind of 4x4 Land Rover thing and bouncing like mad. And that road trip is the basis of the song "The Coming Rains." But it's it was actually a really wonderful trip, but sad at the same time. You get people's hospitality it's always very moving to receive generous hospitality from people who have nothing, and the people I met in the countryside pretty much had nothing. I mean, they had the bare minimum of what it takes to survive and not much more. But yeah, very moving and a reminder of at the same time as you're seeing the devastation or a landscape of devastation caused by some of the worst aspects of human behavior, you're treated to these little examples of the great side of us, and that's the extremes of that are something that are really outside the normal North American experience. My normal North American experience, I guess, if I spent more time in remote Native communities, I'd probably see the same thing. But that isn't the way my life has gone. So I really value the kinds of experience that Mozambique provided in that way, and I wish them well. I mean, there's 1,200 kilometers of beautiful beach, and okay, there's some sharks and stuff, but I mean, there's lots that could be exploited in a positive way, economically and so on. There's lots about the country. There's also some problems with some of the exploitation that's been done too, but that's universal as well. So.
It was great to have that long conversation with Bruce from our living room. And I don't know if you caught the part where he said he wishes the people of Mozambique well. And we're going to be treated to some singing from people in Mozambique right now. The young people in the Kawangasana JAC choir bring 2 songs in the Sena language. See if you can follow along, because the lyrics will be posted in the chat. We are especially impressed with the complexity of the rhythms. And my challenge to you is, as you hear a few cycles of the song, see if you can nail the timing of the clap, okay? While you enjoy the singing. We appreciate the enthusiasm and the spirit of cooperation in these singers and in their directors, Gabriel Miandika and Muchanga Fernando, and in their willingness to find a way to join in using the amazing technology that we can access these days. So here is the Kawangasana JAC choir with 2 songs, Moni and Simba. Lyrics are in the chat. With songs like this, with our guests involved, we will let you unmute and open your microphones after the songs to show appreciation.
Moni osangalala, Jigonina jiwaonana, osangiliza, komalelo majipata mpata, osangalala, Jigonina jiwaonana, osangiliza, komalelo majipata mpata, osangalala, Moni, Moni, kapeleka Moni osangalala, Moni, Moni, kapeleka Moni osangalala, Zigolino dizaonana, osabiliza, komalero mandipasampata, osangalala. Zigolino dizaonana, osabiliza, komalero mandipasampata, osangalala. Kapeleka moni, osangalala. Kapeleka moni, osangalala. Zigolino dizaonana, osabiliza, komalero mandipasampata, osangalala. Zigolino dizaonana, osabiliza, komalero mandipasampata, osangalala. Kapeleka moni, osangalala.
Lovely.
Okay, we got that feedback just in time. Thank you. That was great. We love the spirit of those songs, and thank you for trying to clap along with that. Okay. Mute all there again. Sorry, folks. Right, we're still trying to nail the timing of those claps. Now, speaking of rhythmic expression, our choir member and friend Kevin McGinn, who is in the audience here today, he adds a gorgeous interpretive dance to our next song, as he has done live in past GHC concerts. This song was popularized by the group The Hollies back in the 1960s, and its message speaks to the core of what we hope to infuse in all of our songs, an uplifting spirit. We were able to contact Alan Clark, who was the lead singer of The Hollies in their recording, and he remarked that it has always been a song of loving each other as brothers and sisters and helping those in need through troubled times. We asked if he would give a message to our singers, and that will introduce the song. Dear audience, here is Alan Clark.
Well, here I am. My name is Alan Clark, as you all know, and I used to sing with a group called The Hollies, who are still going at the moment. But I retired many years ago. But it was back in 1968 that I found this song, or should I say Tony Hicks found this song, He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. And I felt very privileged to be given that song to sing. And actually seeing all you guys doing it the way you've done, a little bit differently from what we did. 6/8 times seems to be your timing. I thought it was absolutely fabulous. It really was. And all the other stuff, I've been looking on the website and seeing all the other stuff that you do. all the stuff you're doing for the Mozambique and the charity over there. I mean, you're doing a really good job. You sound really well. Keep on doing it.
The road is long, with many a winding turn. The road that leads us just who knows where, who knows where. But I'm strong, strong enough to carry him. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. So on we go. His welfare is my concern. No burden is he to bear. We'll get there. For I know he would not encumber me. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. Oh, if I'm laden at all, I'm laden with sadness that everyone's heart isn't filled with the gladness of love for one another. It's a long, long road from which there is no return. While we're on the way to there, why not share? And the load does not weigh me down at all. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. He's my brother. He ain't heavy. Oh, he's my brother.
We have a hand for Kevin McGinn, the dancer. Welcome to Open Your Minds.
Kevin!
Awesome! Yay! Awesome. Just beautiful.
Whew, thank you for your kind applause. That song gets me right here. Whoa. This next section of our conversation with Bruce Cockburn is much shorter than the previous one, and it touches on his appreciation of wild nature and his latent desire to just maybe get out again into the wilderness. And while he doesn't speak directly about this particular song, which was written back in 1973 when he was in Stockholm, Sweden, we think this clip is a lovely, lovely segue into the Gettin Higher Choir's 2013 concert recording of this very well-loved song, All the Diamonds.
Led by Dennis Donnelly.
I think you and I might share an interest in wilderness canoe tripping. What has time in the wild meant to you in your life? And can we arrange an adventure for your family up here in BC when we are all free to travel again?
It's been a long time since I've been on a canoe trip. I grew up doing a lot of canoeing, and that was chiefly in Algonquin Park in Ontario. So it's a different kind of canoeing than the river stuff that one does in the west and the north. But like it's pretty much all flat water, portages and whatnot. But I learned to love the wilderness through that experience, and I carried it with me for a long time. I'm not sure that it's definitely still there, but these days I don't really get a chance to get out. I haven't for years. That kind of travel invites you to a different kind of communion in a way, or community. It's community with the planet. It's still, there's that sense of this is what it was supposed to be like.
So do you think you have another canoe trip in you somewhere?
I don't know. I mean, I have some physical issues. I got back problems and stuff, and I wouldn't have any problem paddling, and I would actually love to get out in the wilderness. Yeah. But I don't know how likely that is. Yeah. I had an idea that it would be great. I mean, the people I mentioned it to thought it was a stupid idea, but it seemed to me, and it still seems appealing, to just get on some sort of big raft and go down the Yukon River from Whitehorse to the sea.
Sunlight.
Many thanks to Dennis Donnelly for leading that and arranging that song. Dennis is our friend and mentor who is helping us out tonight with the pasting into the chat. Anyway, thank you again, Dennis.
Welcome back. I hope you are refreshed and ready to settle back into another hour of gorgeous music, including, of course, the full 30-minute set from Bruce Cockburn. Wow, I just took a look at the donations so far, and thank you for your generosity. The total is sitting at $11,218. Woohoo! Thank you so much. So as I mentioned, there'll be a 30-minute, actually it's a 36-minute set from Bruce Cockburn. Wow, he was very generous with his time. But first, of the two songs that were inspired, the two songs that Bruce Cockburn wrote that were inspired by his travels in Mozambique, one will be played by Bruce in his set. The other, Dick and I will play live now to accompany a video montage of images from the Caia district and from the village of Capaceni.
And the countryside leading there. Some of these are from 1999 and from 2009. They're clips from the films that were made, The Journey to Capaceni and The Return to Capaceni. We encourage you to look those up on YouTube. Films by Bill Weaver, Ben Fox doing the video recording.
And yes, we asked Bruce Cockburn to give us a little background to this song, and we will be playing. We'll be playing the song while you enjoy a view of rural Mozambique. Thanks.
So, right, I think we have.
So sorry, Dick, I just need to check with you. Is this the silent one you wanted, or the one that starts with Bruce Cockburn's interview?
Yeah.
One moment.
It should be the one of Bruce introducing the song.
Perfect. I got a little mixed up. My apologies.
All right.
Number
Thanks,
80.
Amanda.
Number 8.
You did a great job. Isn't Amanda doing a
Yes.
great job? Yay! Hooray for tech support.
The coming rains, well, it really, as I mentioned, grew out of that road trip on the second visit to Mozambique in '95, that through a war-torn landscape, but one that's physically beautiful. Looking west, you see these incredible mountains, and all around it's bush, and kind of gently rolling country where I was, but you're rolling over this road that was, had not only not been maintained, but had been deliberately destroyed several times in several places, and it dust everywhere. It was a world of heat and dust. I was thinking about a particular person when so the you in the song is a literal person that I would have liked to have had more of a relationship with than I do and did. So it's kind of a lonely love song in the context of that post-war African landscape. They brought a chair out. I mean, I would have been okay sitting on the ground like they were doing, but no, they brought a chair. It looked like, and I think I said it in the song, it's the only chair they had. They brought it out and they put it under the tree in the shade, and and it's quite pretty little farm yard. And then all these people gathered around, and the kids were looking and like they'd never seen a white person, and they're sort of quite in awe and interested and curious about what's in my bag and all this stuff, right? And it was charming and poignant at the same time.
And just to take a moment here, I'd like to dedicate this performance of ours to an old friend of mine who I met when I lived in Winnipeg. He was a brilliant clarinet player. Mike, we'll miss you. He passed away just a couple of weeks ago, and he pushed me a lot in my music to be able to learn how to accompany other performers and singers. And he was just a brilliant man in so many ways. So this is out to you, Mike. Here we go. And if I see that Amanda is ready with that, we will start this up. Please hold. Oh, we've got a percussion track recorded beforehand. What's involved is this travel cajon and this shaker that comes from Cameroon. So that's what you'll hear from the speaker behind us. So here we go. The Coming Rains. 2, 3, 4. All day the mountains rose behind a veil of smoke from burning fields. And road dust dyeing black skin bronze, and the road rolling like a rough sea. It's quiet now, just crickets and a dog fight somewhere in the far away. In my heart I hold your photograph, and the thought of you comes on like the feel of coming rains. Hot breeze ran its fingers through the long grass of a thatched roof eve. They stuck me in the only chair they had while they cooked cassava and a luckless hen. They asked for one well, 3 lanterns, and 200 liters of fuel, and I said, who, me? And the time for planting's coming soon, and the thought of you comes on like the feel of the coming rains. In the town, neon flickers in the ruins. 7 crows swoop past the luscious moon. If I had wings like those, there'd be no waiting. I'd come panting to your door, slide like smoke into your room. All day the mountains rose behind a veil of smoke from burning fields. And the road dust dyeing black skin bronze, and the road rolling like a rough sea. It's quiet now, just crickets and a dog fight somewhere in the far away. In coming soon, and the thought of you comes on like the feel of coming rains. So yes, you'll have seen a lot of Siobhan Robbins' song poking up in that bunch of film clips there. Those are from her trip to Mozambique. And thanks to Bill Weaver for the great film that he made, the two films that I
And the work of
brought
Ben
this from.
Fox, who was on,
All right. It was our good timing and good fortune to have Bruce Cockburn say yes to our invitation to join this collaborative concert. He is an officer of the Order of Canada. He has won 13 Juno Awards and has put out 34 albums over the 50-year career he has had. Just before we get in, one note about the lyric in one of his songs. Barrel House, for those who aren't familiar, is a style of blues with the accompaniment that goes kind of like this. You've probably heard this. Okay, there you go. One of the songs talks about that. So, although his set was recorded on May 22nd, let us show appreciation now and give a huge open-mic'd welcome to Canada's own Bruce Cockburn.
Hey!
Okay, honey, do I hear you complaining about the winter?
Hey everybody, great to be with you, however virtually. And we do stress it's virtual, not virtuous, although I'll try my best to be virtuous too. Well, let's plunge in. This is open. I never lived with balance. I always wake up nervous. Light comes at me sideways. I hold my breath forever. I never lived with balance, though I've always liked an ocean. I feel an endless hunger for energy and motion. I never lived with balance. I want to feel you near me. There's an aching in my hip bone when I let my heart drop open. It's daylight in the city. There's thumping in the stairwell. Kundalini sunrise, a clamoring of church bells. Open, open, open. You like to let me worry, but I don't take you for granted. Come over here and kiss me. I'm savoring your picture. The street is filled with noises, life going up and down. Light comes at you sideways and folds you like a gown. Open, open, open. Open. That's I was living in Montreal when I wrote that song. I was living in Toronto when I wrote this one, somewhat longer ago. I was up the road on Easy Street, watching everybody stand around and cheat. Man comes up and says, move along back to the corner where you belong. But Mama just wants to barrel house all night long. Hear the city singing like a siren choir. Some fool tried to set this town on fire. TV preacher screams, come on along. I feel like Fay Ray face to face with King Kong. But Mama just wants to barrel house all night long. Mama just wants to barrel house all night long. Sometimes I wonder what I am. I feel like I'm living in a hologram. Doesn't seem to matter what's right or wrong. Everybody's grabbing and coming on strong. But Mama just wants to barrel house all night long. Mama just wants to I guess that's a kind of a love song. Kind of observational, urban love song. This is also a kind of love song that's a little different in its approach and is unfortunately timely. Unfortunately, well, you'll see when you hear the song. Oops, I just made a noise hitting the microphone there. Don't the hours grow shorter as the days go by? You never get to stop and open your eyes. One day you're waiting for the sky to fall. The next you're dazzled by the beauty of it all. When you're lovers in a dangerous time, lovers in a dangerous time. These fragile bodies of touch and taste, this vibrant skin, this hair like lace, spirits open to the thrust of grace. Never a breath you can afford to waste. When you're lovers in a dangerous time, lovers in a dangerous time. When you're lovers in a dangerous time, lovers in a dangerous time. When your lover's in a dangerous time, sometimes you're made to feel as if your love's a crime. But nothing worth having comes without some kind of fight. Got to kick out the darkness till it bleeds daylight. When your lover's in a dangerous time, in a dangerous time. When you're lovers in a dangerous time, lovers in a dangerous time. drummers are in a dangerous time. Thanks. Yeah. I'm going to do a little guitar switch here and play a song that is kind of relevant to the current goings on. I think I'm handing this guitar to my friend Mark, who's recording this stuff and making sure you get to see it and hear it. Okay. In the late 80s and again in the 90s, 95 I believe, I had occasion to go to Mozambique for short visits. The first time the war was on, and things were pretty dire. The second time the war had been over for a short time, and things were equally dire in a different way. People had other concerns, but one of the ongoing concerns that was obvious was the presence of landmines in the country, and I got involved in the campaign, the international campaign to ban landmines, through being invited to go to Mozambique and be a witness to what the presence of landmines does in the context of a post-war, of a country facing post-war circumstances. And so luckily that was the second trip. The first trip was about feeding displaced people. Second trip was about the issue of getting people back to their homes when their fields had been mined and the schoolyards were mined and stuff like that. I mean, it was a fairly bad situation. Mozambique didn't suffer as much from landmines as some other countries in similar circumstances did and do, but it was bad enough and quite sobering. So this is a song that came out of that second trip.
Of the mind
much to spend. Some men rob whole countries dry and still get called their friend. And under the feeding frenzy, there's a wound that will not mend. In the mines of Mozambique, night, like peace, is a state of suspension. Tomorrow the heat will rise and mist will hide the marshy fields, the mango and the cashew trees, which only now they're clearing brush from under. Rusted husks of blown up trucks line the roadway north of town, like passing through a sculpture gallery. War is the artist, but he's sleeping now. And somebody will be peddling vials of penicillin stolen out of all the medical kits sent to the countryside. And in a bare workshop, they'll be molding plastic into little prosthetic limbs for the children of this artist, and for those who farm the soil that received his bitter seed. The all-night stragglers stagger home. Cocks begin to crow, and singing birds are starting up, telling what they know. And after a while the sun will come, and we'll see what it will show of the mines of Mozambique. The mines of Mozambique. I'll just switch guitars again. And thank you. Thanks. And this is a song, a really different perspective. It's also from a war zone. In this case, it's Afghanistan. And I happen to have the privilege of going there, spending a week in Kandahar, as part of a little group that went over to entertain and otherwise distract the Canadian Forces people that were there at Kandahar Airfield for a little respite from the stuff they were dealing with, which was considerable. Actually, I don't want that on there yet. But on the way into that, into Kandahar, we stopped at what was said to be a secret base that Canada had somewhere in the Middle East. It was called Camp Mirage, and it was a staging area for traffic going in and out of Afghanistan, military traffic, obviously. And as we were about to leave from there, we flew all night. We had a fantastic, it was an incredible group of people, actually. I won't start naming names because I'll leave people out that shouldn't be left out. But anyway, it was a great group to travel with. And we had a great time flying over there. And even though we knew we were going into some difficult circumstances, or potentially difficult, but everybody's pretty tired. We flew all night across the Atlantic, and then they refueled, I guess, in Cologne, and we sort of had a very liquid breakfast very early in the morning in Cologne, and then got on the plane again and flew to Camp Mirage. It wasn't that secret, and after a while, I think the government of Canada forgot to pay the rent on that base, and the Canadian forces were kicked out of Dubai, I'm pretty sure it was. So anyway, but it was functioning when we were there. But by way of kind of introduction to that part of the world in that context, as we were assembling on the tarmac to get on our plane to go the rest of the way to Kandahar, a flight came in from Kandahar with the bodies of two young Canadian soldiers who'd been killed that day and were being sent home to Canada to their families. So there was a ramp ceremony, so as it's called, for those two soldiers as they were removed from the one plane and transported to the plane that was going to take them to Canada. And it was incredibly moving experience. The entire base was assembled on the tarmac, and we had to, of course, wait. We couldn't get on our plane. We were circumstantially and basically invited to be part of this ceremony, and so we stood and participated in the heart way that everybody there was participating. And this is a song that came out of that. It's called Each One Lost. Stretching long, the ramp is lowered gently to the tarmac, and all of us we wait in a sea of gravity for the precious cargo to appear. And here come the dead boys moving slowly past, the pipes and prayers and strange commanding voices. And the tears in our hearts make an ocean we're all in this together, don't you know? You can die on your sofa, safe inside your home, or die in a mess of flame and shrapnel. We all in our time go, you know you're not alone. You're in the hearts of everybody here. Each one lost is everyone's loss, you see. Each one lost is a vital part of you and me. Some would have us bow in bondage to their dreams of little gods who lay down laws to live by. But all those inventions arise from fear of love and open-hearted tolerance and trust. Well, screw the rule of law, we want the rule of love. Enough to fight and die to keep it coming. If that sounds like confusion, brother, think again. We know exactly what we chose. Each one lost is everyone's loss, you see. Each one lost is everyone's lost, you see. Each one lost. Well, I think I'm allowed to do one more song here, so there goes another bang on the microphone. This is what makes it really live, making noises and things, hopefully noises that aren't too offensive. Some of you watching this may be old enough to remember the Ed Sullivan Show. This is with reference to what you're witnessing going on right now in front of you. The Byrds were on Ed Sullivan, and it was not a good match, really, Ed Sullivan and the Byrds, but they spent a lot of time tuning with the cameras rolling and the audience fidgeting and whatever. And at one point, whoever was the spokesperson faced up to the microphone and said, "We tune because we care." And I think they tuned because they were really, really stoned, actually. But they were tuning, and they wanted to be in tune, and good for them. And I'm sure Ed Sullivan was probably having a conniption in the wings. But anyway, here I am tuning. So I tune because I care, and because it sounds like crap if I don't. Some of you singers may want to sing along with this. Oh, there's something bad there. Sorry. Let's try it again. Okay. Feel free to join in on this. There's an obvious part for you, but well, obvious to some. If it isn't obvious, just sing whatever you feel like. Preferably the same song. Sun's up, looks okay. The world survives into another day, and I'm thinking about eternity. Some kind of ecstasy got a hold on me. I had another dream about lions at the door. They weren't half as frightening as they were before, but I'm thinking about eternity. Some kind of ecstasy got a hold on me. Walls, windows, trees, waves coming through. You being me and I'll be in you, together in eternity. Some kind of ecstasy got a hold on me. Up among the firs where it smells so sweet, or down in the valley where the river used to be, I got my mind on eternity. Some kind of ecstasy got a hold on me, and I'm wondering where the lions are. Wondering where the lions are. Wondering where the lions are. Oh, wondering where the lions are. Ooh, yeah, wondering where the lions are. Ooh, yeah, wondering where the lions are. Yeah, yeah. Huge orange flying boat rises off a lake, 1,000-year-old petroglyphs doing a double take, pointing a finger at eternity. I'm sitting in the middle of this ecstasy. Young men marching, helmets shining in the sun, polished and precise like the brain behind the gun. Should be. They got me thinking about eternity, but some kind of ecstasy got a hold on me. And I'm wondering where the lions are, wondering where the lions are, wondering where the lions are. Oh, wondering where the lions are. Oh, yeah, yeah, wondering where the lions are. Yeah, 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 wondering where the lions are. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Freighters on the knot on the surface of the bay. One of these days we're gonna sail away, gonna sail into eternity. Some kind of ecstasy got a hold on me. And I'm wondering where the lions are, wondering where the lions are. Yeah, wondering where the lions are. Whoa, wondering where the lions are. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Wondering where the lions are, 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 wondering where the lions are. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Bruce Cockburn. Ladies and gentlemen, give a hand.
Yeah.
Wow.
Excellent. Such a treat.
Time travel.
Wow, yeah, time travel. I heard something.
Okay, hold on. Thank you so much. Okay.
Wait. Wow, yeah, thank you one and all. That was phenomenal. You know, I'd love to see that again. And you know what? You can. Whoa, thanks to the wonders of YouTube. We'll need to do a little bit of editing of the YouTube concert before it goes up, but shortly after this concert closes, all of the GHC, the Gettin Higher Choir song videos will be available to watch again on YouTube.
In slightly higher quality than what you might have seen here, and Bruce's set will be up also.
Yeah.
To find this, because we had a little slip up earlier, if you go find the Gettin Higher Choir's YouTube channel, you'll find everything you need.
Yeah. The next clip of our conversation with Bruce is just us wrapping up our formal interview. And I would just like to make a little shout out to any members of Unifor Local 333, and why I'm saying that will become clear in this last clip. But even when this clip is over, don't leave, because there's 2 more fabulous songs before we close out this evening.
Funny thing you were mentioning about in Mozambique, it was the transit workers who were singing. Cathy's full-time.
In my day job, when I'm not making music or helping other people make music, is I drive a city bus for the city of Victoria. So I'll have to recruit some of my colleagues to into a singing group.
If I'm ever foot loose in Victoria, I'll keep an eye out for you.
There you go.
Either top deck or double decker. I'll take you somewhere scenic. There you go.
All right.
Good to meet you.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you too. I've enjoyed our conversation.
Thanks.
Yeah. And yeah, sincere invitation. If you show up on our doorstep, you're welcome here.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Take care.
Until next
Okay.
time.
You too.
Well, it was wonderful to get to visit with him. So on to the next part of our show. This medley that we put together from the Gettin Higher Choir is a powerful injection of encouragement and positivity to speak up and speak truth to power and to inspire action. In the first song of the three, the songwriter Heather Houston was moved and inspired by the youth in the U.S. speaking out against gun violence in their country and in their schools. In the second song by Shoshana Friedman and Yotam Schachter, it was written to inspire action in light of the climate crisis. The last piece comes out of the townships of South Africa during the struggle against apartheid, and its message is, "Let the sun go down to make the days shorter until we meet again." The people rising up in clandestine ways would be the workers who would have Thursdays off, and they would meet together in and once a week. So that's where this song comes from. The last line in Portuguese, "A luta continua," means the struggle continues.
And we're joined in that last part of the song by the people of the young people of the Kawangasana Choir.
There we go. Enjoy.
Oh, take my hand, now, yes, you belong. And lift your voice, now we'll sing this song. And we will root down into the ground. Now we're rising strong, yeah, we're rising strong. Oh, take my hand, now, yes, you belong. And lift your voice, now we'll sing this song. And we will root down into the ground. Now we're rising strong, yeah, we're rising strong. And we are warriors of the light. And we are stronger when we unite. We are here to waken the love. We are rising strong, yeah, we're rising strong. And we are warriors of the light. And we are stronger when we unite. We are here to waken the love. We are rising strong, yeah, we're rising strong. And we are warriors of the light. And we are stronger when we unite. We are here to waken the love. We are rising strong, yeah, we're rising strong. We're rising strong. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. Shona, Shona, Malanga, Shona, 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 Malanga, Shona, Divana, 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 Shona, Shona, Malanga, Shona, 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 Malanga, Shona, Divana, Divana, yo,
Let's hear it for the Kawangasana JAC Choir.
Yay.
Hey!
All right. Our next piece is, pardon me, yes, Nkosi Sikalele Africa. Sorry about that. As has been the tradition with Gettin Higher Choir concerts for Mozambique over the last 20 plus years, we end off with a song that's often referred to as a Pan-African anthem. This is the version in Zulu called Nkosi Sikalele Africa, and it's revered on the African continent, and the hymns used as liberation music. According to anthropologist David Copeland, he says this song has come to symbolize more than any other piece of expressive culture, the struggle for African unity and liberation in South Africa. So we have a recording of this from a previous concert, the choir. Thank you for that kind applause. And Cathy, take it away.
So that brings us to the end of the evening, and we have many people to thank for making this happen. Huge, huge heartfelt gratitude to Nick La Riviere for audio and video production, Catherine Albertson for graphic design. She's here tonight too, of course. Amanda Tarling for Zoom wizardry. Graham Bennett for Zoom security, Loalan Fugsang for YouTube Live, Dennis Donnelly, friend and mentor, for working the chat and our concert program, Nicole August for YouTube channel support.
And great thanks to our guest musicians, the Kawangasana JAC Choir, directors Gabriel Miandika and Mr. Muchanga Fernando. And thanks to all our dedicated Gettin Higher Choir singers who keep their voices rising. Time for a company bow. Let's do Hearts Rising.
Hearts.
Choir. Here we are. And thanks to you, our wonderful, beautiful, generous audience. The latest total is 13,328. That's a lot of people putting into there what they might have paid to go to a concert like this, I guess. So you can still donate or tell your friends to watch the video, and always welcome to donate to this cause, to this campaign in the next week. We will send one follow-up email that will connect you with all the links we have given here tonight and the links to the song videos, but you can find them on the Gettin Higher Choir YouTube channel.
So very shortly, we will invite you all to unmute again and show your appreciation for our amazing singers and to our guests. In the words of Dr. Bonnie Henry, be kind, be calm, be safe.